Hello, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome to another video. If you are new to this channel, my name is Frank Zhu, and I'm a college professor teaching sociology, history, and philosophy. I'm also an award-winning landscape photographer. As someone who has lived in America for several decades, and as a professor who has taught philosophy and sociology over the years, I often find myself being critical of and contemplating on some aspects of the American society. I keep wondering what would happen if Confucianism could be taught at every American school, college, and university. What if everyone behaved in a way as Confucius wanted us to? Today, I'd like to make a video talking about how Americans can benefit from Confucian principles. More specifically, I want to list a few areas in which Americans can and should learn from Confucianism. Please keep in mind, I'm speaking from my personal experience and my own personal observations. My opinions are also based on what I have heard and read, which may not be applicable in all situations. But before I get started, let me rectify a misconception held by some Americans who mistakenly believe that Confucianism is a religion. I have said it many times before, but let me say it again. Confucianism is not a religion. It is a philosophical system that focuses on these worldly concerns, rather than something supernatural like divine worship, afterlife, or creator God. For more details, you may want to check out my videos on Confucius and Confucianism. First and foremost, many Americans can learn from Confucianism by embracing filial piety to achieve stronger family bonds, which I believe are lacking in many American families. Filial piety represents unconditional respect, obedience, and care for parents, elders, and ancestors. Among the 5 relationships in Confucianism, the parent-child relationship is considered as the fundamental one. Confucianism advocates for the cultivation of various virtues, and filial piety is the root of all other virtues. In traditional Chinese culture, filial piety served as the bedrock not only for family harmony, but also for broader social order. By cultivating filial piety, individuals will act as dutiful citizens in society. Within the family, filial piety is something children owe to the parents for giving them life and supporting them. Thus, children see it as an internal, non-negotiable obligation to respect, obey their parents, and support and take care of them when they are old. In comparison, here in America, filial piety is seen as reciprocal and voluntary, rather than strict obedience or moral obligation on the part of children. This mentality is developed from a young age. American children are taught to be independent. It is true that independence is beneficial to the development of children. But in the mind of a child, it means take care of yourself because nobody else, including your parents, care about you. Oftentimes, the feeling of not being loved or cared for results in less close connections between children and parents. Besides, children feel the pressure which mostly comes from parents to move out to start their own life once they graduate from colleges. In the absence of a strong emotional bond between children and parents, grown-up children don't feel morally obligated to visit or take care of their elderly parents, which explains the fact that many seniors in America feel lonely, isolated, and rely on pets for companionship and emotional comfort. But parents themselves are partly to blame for the erosion of filial piety. Let me give you an example. Many years ago, a young colleague of mine mentioned that she had just bought an old car from her father for $1,000, and she considered it as a good bargain. I was startled and couldn't help but ask her, "How could your father sell an old car to you, his own daughter?" But she seemed more surprised with me asking the question. For her, it was so natural. But for me, it is inconceivable that a business deal like this could ever happen in a Chinese family, where everything that parents own are also the property of their children. If parents treat their children like doing business, how can you expect your children to practice filial piety? The second area where I believe many Americans can learn from Confucianism is the emphasis on education. In Confucianism, the primary goal of education is not just to prepare young children for future careers, but as a lifelong transformative journey to cultivate character and moral excellence. Students are taught to be diligent, humble, and respectful towards one another. More specifically, education plays the role of fostering benevolence, righteousness, and ritual propriety in social life, in order to be a gentleman or noble person. Confucianism sees education as vital in producing moral, conscientious individuals who will fulfill their duties within family and society. In America, families of East Asian backgrounds which value Confucian principles are well known for the money and time spent on their children's education. However, what I witness here in America is an educational system in crisis of character. As a college professor, I don't see it as a big issue in higher education sectors. But based on what I learned, there has been a continuous decline in student behavior, responsibility, empathy, and respect in many public schools. Many surveys show increased behavioral issues not only in the classroom, but also in families and communities, such as disrespect and lack of basic social skills. Education in America stresses the importance of teaching technology and practical skills, but often neglects teaching character building. At school, students enjoy excessive amount of freedom. Competition is encouraged over cooperation. Individuality is praised over conformity. Besides, teachers don't spend enough time teaching students ethics, self-discipline, humility, and personal responsibility. At home, education for kids is not a top priority of family spending. For example, every survey shows that the average family spends far less on education than a Chinese American family. The third area in which I think Americans can learn from Confucianism is a social harmony and etiquette. According to Confucianism, proper rituals and etiquette play an essential role in maintaining social order. Confucianism promotes social harmony by ensuring that everyone, from leaders to ordinary people, fulfill their specific duties by taking proper roles within families and society. Individuals should observe appropriate behavior, customs, and ceremonies in different situations. For example, from childhood, people are taught to bow to elders during greetings and use respectful gestures and language. At home, children are not allowed to call their elder siblings or parents directly by name. They have to show respect by using a specific kinship title such as Big Brother. At workplace, juniors always show respect and politeness by using both hands when taking something from or giving something to a supervisor or someone their senior. Confucianism teaches people to control emotional outbursts, be humble, and act with inner discipline. The golden rule for individual behavior is, do not do to others what you do not want them to do to you. In comparison, many Americans don't seem to put social harmony as the highest ideal in life. For them, acting on principle seems more important than saving face for others and for themselves. Being honest is more important than trying to reduce friction in social interactions. In their eyes, everyone is equal, no matter whether you are my teacher, my supervisor, or my parents. So there is no need to show respect to anyone. Individualism and autonomy are more important than fostering collaboration. Ventilation of angry feelings comes before inner discipline and self-restraint. All of this explains why conflicts and confrontations are common occurrences in the family and social life of many Americans. Finally, which is perhaps even more urgent, Americans can and should learn from Confucianism by emphasizing the role of ethical leadership. In the view of Confucius, good leadership not only brings about a good political order, but also generates a trusting environment for those who govern and those who are governed. Instead of relying on fear or strict compliance, a Confucian leader acts as a role model, serving and teaching through actions rather than words. They hold themselves to high moral standards and inspire followers to behave ethically. According to Confucianism, effective leadership comes from cultivating personal virtue, continuous learning, and prioritizing the well-being of followers, and fostering a harmonious and respectful community culture. Good leadership is based on character and ability, rather than popularity. Here in America, however, political leadership is failing due to lack of moral cultivation, excessive focus on self-interest over collective harmony, and a failure to maintain dignity. There is a big gap between the ethical expectations of the public and the perceived behavior of leaders. Politicians are notorious for making all sorts of promises in political campaigns. But once elected, seldom do they deliver on their promises. Some national leaders, both Republican and Democratic, are well known for lack of benevolence. They seem to enjoy creating a chaotic, polarized environment rather than fostering social harmony and moral righteousness. They are often seen as prioritizing wealth, political power over the welfare of the people. According to recent surveys, public trust in governments has severely declined, especially with regard to the trust in federal government. In conclusion, Confucianism is such a useful practical philosophy that Americans can benefit from it in many ways. Americans can learn how to foster stronger family bonds, enhance social harmony, emphasizing education, and promote ethical leadership. Well, I think that is all for today's video. As always, thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.